the book really points to the concept that burnout is more of a spiritual journey. It's more of a wake-up call that something is deeply out of alignment. And the book, all the things that Meghan said, it's like looking at why it's out of alignment, right? All of the conditioning of the story and the isms that are not true. And then also, how do we begin to create then the life that we really want?
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. Oh, my goodness, you're in a double treat today. And this double treat is going to blow your minds. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to keep up. That's really all I have to say about that. But we are going to have some fun with Laura and Meghan. But before we start, I need you to follow this podcast. I know you get tired of me saying it, but you're not following yet because, well, actually, maybe you are because you're listening. But for those of you that aren't, go ahead and follow and then share it with your friends because people like Meghan and Laura only come along once in a lifetime and you can't miss them. So today, this day, we have fabulous human beings. I'm so excited. We've been chatting already and we have become lifelong friends. So Meghan O'Malley and Laura Cardwell are our guests today. There are lots of things. They are entrepreneurs. They are coaches. They are leadership gurus. They are recovering that might be even more fun. Hustleaholics. They are holistic health experts. They're also hip hop dancers. So Laura just graduated from being a mom because her youngest turned 18. She also happens to be a secret British mystery hoarder because she likes them all. And our sweet friend Meghan is an intuitive. She likes to call herself a good witch, which I kind of appreciate, and a rock collector. And today they are guests on Productive Joy. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, right? It's so we know what you are.
We're a lot, just like you said.
Yeah.
So
And together we're more than that.
Which I kind of love because exponentially, right? Like you guys grow exponentially when you are together. And so I love to just kick things off with what would you say in like 30 seconds or less that'll make people go, holy crap, I can't miss this episode. Oh, how they looked at each other. Did you guys see that? If you want to watch it, go back and watch.
Yeah.
I think we are here to just stretch people's perceptions. And if you feel stuck or like life is a bit too meh and you're settling for that as the way, this is the episode to get out of that sort of comfortable, uncomfortable velvet ditch that we can find ourselves in.
Ooh, velvet ditch. I've never heard it referred to that way, but that is so accurate. Like the comfortable mehness of like, I like to say that I beat mediocrity by creating extraordinary humans, right? Like that's what I work towards because nobody wants to be mediocre. Love it. Laura, what would you build upon what Meghan said for your 30-second, holy crap, we got to listen?
I should know better than to go after Meghan. This is the thing, right? I should know better. But I think what I would want you to know now, like the too long didn't read moment, but we want you to read the whole thing, is that you're here on purpose, for purpose, through purpose, with purpose, and to be your purpose. And this is the time in our world and everything that's going on. This is the time. There's no more waiting to live who you're meant to be in the world. Now is the time.
Okay, so friends, they've thrown the gauntlet already and have said it is time to get out of your velvet ditch and come up with where you need to be. So girls, I need to know all the things, but I don't know exactly where to start. So we could start with how the two of you became a force to be reckoned with, or we could start with how you were as individuals who then became this force to be reckoned with, because y'all have a long history of helping humans, and then you decided to start doing it together. So I'm going to let you pick. Where would you like to start?
We'll start together.
You go first.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of quickly tell the story of Meghan and I, how we met, because then it kind of leads in. But Meghan and I are both people in the world who focus on helping people live their purpose, live their highest potential, live into who they're really, what their heart is desiring to be in the world and to find it somewhere. And that's intense transformational work with people, right? And we also have this deep sense of needing to be more playful, have more fun. And so we danced hip hop for years next to each other. But it was a space where we didn't really talk to anyone. It was a space where we went and we just let loose and we gave it our best twerk moment possible. Meghan is much better than me, but
that is a gift that not everybody has. Like you either can or you can't. Like I believe that with my whole heart.
I think you can learn, but I also do think there is a natural giftedness that comes with it. That yeah.
Shout out to Nilda for my friend who is an excellent twerker. Yeah, some just have it.
Yeah. Some just have it.
So you're twerking next to each other. Megan was better at it, however, and
Yeah. And then one day after class, I happened to answer a question that had something to do with applied neuroscience, which is really my background, is in like functional pathways of the brain and things like that. And Megan also has a background in applied neuroscience. And so there was this moment where her little head turned around and she said, "What'd you say?" And she asked for me to go to tea, and we went, and this history since then. We just have not stopped talking since.
that is pretty beautiful. Megan, did she leave anything out?
I think I would just say, one of the things we believe, and it seems relevant to your podcast, is when we are in our joy, we are most magnetic. There is, we are nerds. We love science. So there is a quantum field resonance that happens when you're in your joy. And I think it was like we were just pulled together on purpose, meaning, like there was a higher purpose. And those conversations over tea led to us kind of going, oh my gosh, I would listen to this. We should hit record and share this. And then it led to our first podcast. And it just kind of evolved like lily pad hopping of maybe we try this. And we have failed forward. We have learned. We have grown each other. It's been all of the things. It's been a really powerful soul contract for our own evolution, but also I think for the evolution of our work, which, finding someone that can hold that with you, that higher capital P purpose in things. Like it's not a job. It is our mission of beingness in life that we have grown each other into, which is pretty powerful. And with fun, with some colorful language, with, dance parties, with whatever it might be. And being in the personal growth space, my background is as a therapist, and there's a lot of boring growth conversations that are like this expert behind the Wizard of Oz screen, and I'm going to tell you what you don't know yet. And both of us were kind of grossed out by that.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to talk about it like humans having a human experience, two humans having a human experience. And that's a lot of where we've bonded. Is can we please just talk about this with our quirkiness, with our full humanity, with our failures, with our brilliance. And I think the world is hungry for that, which is why we wrote a book.
Yeah.
From that place.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So many things. Sim moments, if you will. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Armchair Experts, but they talk about sim moments, right? Where everything kind of comes together. So my philosophy for years has been, if you don't make work fun, people quit. And what you just said about the behind the curtain, very, stoic, and this is what you need to know. And this is serious. Okay. It is serious. And my brain doesn't fire neurons unless there's some sort of emotion tied to what's happening. So why are you talking to me like that? That does not resonate with me. So I help people do that. And that's where productive joy came from. So ChatGPT and I actually came up with productive joy because I said, well, what else could we call it besides make work fun? Because it's not just about work, right? It's about life. And that's exactly what you just said, is that this is about how we interact with others and how we can become the best versions of ourselves. You dropped so many great phrases in that. Soul contract was one of them. Mission of beingness. That's another one that you don't hear very often. And living your big P purpose. I think that you all obviously are doing all of that. So let's back up. You have a podcast. Tell us about that and when and how long ago that started. And then that turned into, you actually have a business together and you just dropped a book. So holy cow, good job. And can you connect some dots for us?
Absolutely. We started with our first podcast was called Two Mystics and a Mic. And that was literally our tea talk, right? We
love it.
But just the stuff that we were talking about that we were like, that's what Megan said. Other people need to hear kind of these concepts about living your capital P purpose and all sorts of just different ways that we were communicating or just thinking about things, right? And then that grew into us starting our company. We started Embodied Leadership by Design, and that is a place where we're really merging kind of applied neuroscience, that background that we have in that, with the idea that we have archetypes that kind of guide our life and how we can really show up. And we use human design for that. And then we really just found like this transformational work, this Venn diagram of this transformational work, human design and applied neuroscience. And so we just found that we really wanted to talk in the world about leadership from the perspective that everyone is a leader, that by living your capital P purpose, you are the leader of your joyful life, right? So it's like, and so that's when we started the Embodied Leadership Lounge podcast. So we kind of moved it over so it all was more cohesive, and we started to do speaking around some of these concepts, that what it means to live your life from purpose, and what shifts and changes. What would you add to that, Meghan?
I think I would just emphasize something that I know we stand for, but I want to underline and highlight it, which is we are taught that purpose is finding the right job, but we believe purpose is being fully expressed as a human. Like me and my weirdness and my wisdom and my brilliance and moving through the world in alignment with my design. That's where human design has been really illuminating because, Laura and I worked together. We wrote a book together and we have very different designs. But learning how to understand and honor that has been an essential part of us creating the things we've created. And writing that book was ridiculously easy because we did it so in alignment with our design.
Well, and because we all have a unique genius, right? We all have a superpower that is who we are. And when we are allowed to use that, that's freeing and we can breathe. I talk about, when you're having to be something that you're not, it's like wearing a mask and eventually it becomes hard to breathe, right? And so you're helping people take the mask off and figure out who they are. So let's back up one step. And could you please define applied neuroscience for our listeners that might be like, what the heck is that? And then you also mentioned archetypes, which I do know has to do with personalities and all that. But can you give some definitions so that everybody listening goes, that's so exciting?
Yes, we can.
How
much time do we have? No, I'm kidding.
Right. 6 hours from now, we'll be done, guys. So just hang with us.
No, I will have explained. Applied neuroscience is the concept that we can use our thoughts. We can understand how our thoughts affect our emotions, they affect our feelings, and they eventually affect our physical beingness, right? So applied neuroscience is the concept that by really tapping into my conscious brain and then also using certain brainwaves, we can get to some of the unconscious and subconscious programming and we can rewrite our story. So that's really what applied neuroscience would give us, is this ability to use this amazing thing we've got going on in our heads to recreate the story of our lives.
Thank goodness.
And regulate our nervous system, wouldn't you say? Just on a practical
Right,
level.
that whole part, but
yeah, just, because being a therapist for a long time, people would come in and they would tell me what their patterns were. They would tell me what they wanted to be thinking, but they couldn't get there. And that's that deeply unconscious nervous system programming that we learn from family of origin, we learn from the world, all that stuff. And there's a toolbox to actually lovingly trick your body into feeling more safe, more at ease, more at peace. And then our brain works better and we become innovative, creative, and courageous.
And
so there's
unstuck
that we're not taught.
And we get
unstuck because that's the name of your book, right? Unstuck Yourself.
Yeah.
I heard so many things. So when I think about, the big T, little t trauma that I've faced in life and how I've compartmentalized that and where it shows up, like I know, you're right. I know all the things, right? Like I have paid attention and I have studied it and I've studied humans my whole existence. I just think that's the way I'm wired. My natural curiosity has helped me figure out, that's what's happening in them. And then it's given me compassion and empathy for some of the behaviors that I'm like, you're a jerk, but you're a jerk because at least I know why you're being a jerk. It doesn't make you any less jerky. So all of that said to say, one, thank you. Thank you for choosing to let other people know the things that you have studied your entire lives in a way that they can receive it, right? Because you could have stayed stoic and you could have been that emotionless, lack of affect human, but you're not. That's not how you're wired. That's clear, even down to the cute glasses that you're both wearing. Like it's obvious to me that you have lots of personality and you're letting that out. So I'm saying thank you for that. And then I want to, there's like 7 things I want to circle around, but I'm going to stop here with this one. All of the things that you're saying align so well with my philosophy of creating more productive joy. So if you had to define productive joy, I would love to hear both of your definitions. And then I'm going to add to that, how do you help create it? So first and foremost, how would you define productive joy? I know. I'm a fun. And then you did a whole, like the whole body experience on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll start because I know joy is one of Laura's core love languages, and she will have a lot to say about it. But productive joy is reclaiming the art of enjoying life and then all of the natural outcomes that that brings. I mean, we are taught that suffering is the path to success, which is a lie. I'm just going to say it is a lie for all of you listening. Anyone who's telling you that, it's a lie. It's a story. Living your joy means living your genius and your emotions, all of it. And that naturally leads to resonant connections. I talk a lot about magic in my life. That's when synchronicities and things like that happen. And, abundance of all flavors comes when and it is so counterintuitive. I had an allergy to joy and fun and play for a lot of my life. I was very good at being serious and intentional. I still have to watch myself. But when I'm in my like unfurled joyfulness, that's when life meets me in some really beautiful ways.
I really appreciate the way you said that and the reality of it might not be your natural tendency. Because I know, when people, you're a little Pollyanna, Christie, and you're, always spinning it. That was out of necessity because my life fell apart right around 19, and all the things I knew to be true and right were no longer true or right. And I had to make a decision, and that decision was out of survival only. And I think sometimes people think, oh, well, you just naturally look for the good, or you can naturally be in that space. And you're saying naturally you held back and you're learning to grab that joy. And I just think that's important to stamp. So I'm stamping that.
I'm committed to practicing it
Yeah.
and to centering it in my life. And I think we're taught that joy is something you have to earn. And I want to tell everyone listening, it's a birthright. You have a body. Why else would we be souls in these weird, clunky skin bags if we weren't meant to feel joy and pleasure?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of it's a vehicle for that. So you don't have to go prove anything to feel joy. There's nothing, no mile marker. I know I thought that. Like joy is for what's left.
Right. And it shouldn't happen when I'm working because that's serious, or it shouldn't happen when I'm fill in the blank, right? But now, Laura, you had a propensity towards joy, I'm guessing, if that's your love language. So say more.
Is my love language. I mean, it's a lifelong journey with the relationship to joy, right? Especially in the culture that we live in that really asks us to sacrifice everything that feels good in order to survive, right? So for me, I think my journey has been to understand that joy is a state of being, and it isn't necessarily to be confused with happiness or, so we can get in loops of chasing happiness, which tend to be external. There's this place where we're looking outside of something to bring us that feeling of happiness. But joy is the internal seeking. It's the place in our heart where we land and we let it guide us like our North Star. It's the state of being that we move through life with. And when we embody that state of being, which goes along with being who you're here to be, and you're unlocking your genius and unleashing your genius on the world and just being you and, all the things, joy opens doors and it creates these possibilities in your life that were not available to you if you were moving through the world from your head or moving through the world from your shoulds or I ought tos, or, like joy opens the door to, like Meghan said, magic. Like if I'm just being my most joyful self, no matter how hard the situation is. And what I want to remind people that to be joyful doesn't always mean to be happy. You can bring that state of being to even hard conversations, and it helps to hold those higher emotions of compassion and openness and understanding, and it helps you stay in your true self no matter what the situation is. Because sometimes we talk about joy or it gets bantered around like happiness, then that can lead to a dangerous conversation that looks like avoidance.
Yes.
Like I'm avoiding hard things. And what I'm saying is that joy allows you to go into hard things, keeping your heart open.
Oof. So much power in that. So I'm an Enneagram 7. I don't know if you all are familiar with
And I'm a 1, which is
Oh,
why the seriousness.
Well, and that's where, okay, so my daughter's a 1, and 7s go to 1s when they are not comfortable and not healthy. And I hear all of that. And we need 1s in our lives. They're very important. They know what's right and what's
And we
wrong.
get 7. That's our
7.
integration point.
But as an Enneagram 7, I don't sit in my feelings very well. I can sit in your feelings all day long, but I avoid mine pretty carefully again, protecting myself, right? That's why we do things. But I am learning through really brilliant people and surrounding myself with people and choosing to learn that it's okay, right? It's okay to feel that crap and instead turn it into something productive, right? So my original question, what's productive joy? You nailed. Now, how do you help people create it? And I'm going to guess that Unstuck Yourself might come into this space a little bit, which just dropped October 6th. So exciting. And people can go anywhere that books are sold. Is
Pretty
that
much.
okay? That's very exciting. So go get Unstuck Yourself. But now tell us how Unstuck Yourself will create productive joy.
I'll give you the roadmap so that readers can know what to expect. Because it is a full journey. It is comprehensive. It's not a book that's like, here's a taste and then come pay us all the money to get the rest of it. This will take you through the whole process. So it's an introduction to human design where you can learn your leadership type in a way that doesn't require you learn the whole system of human design. So starting to have some aspects of how your energetic system is meant to move and thrive and connect in the world. And then we go through some of the cultural stories that we are steeped in that are not true and invite the reader to question some of those. And then we have a framework called the Prosper Framework that's like, okay, so if we're not doing these stories, what do we do? And it's a journey of how to move through what you want to move toward in practical ways. And we weave science and grounded understanding throughout it. And then we have a system we've developed together called Integrative Somatic Experience, which is a practical set of tools, anything from a 2-minute reset to a full deconditioning the story I've carried since childhood to get the old story moved through the system and the new one sort of planted like seeds on the conscious and unconscious level. That's why we use somatics, applied neuroscience, and human design, along with some other things. I mean, we're very integrative in our approach, as you can probably tell. But it's a whole journey.
Yeah. But it's lived experience, right? Like you're not just saying this is what the book says, right? No, this is what we've experienced, what we've lived, what we've done with multiple leaders. And here's where we are with that. Laura, what would you add?
I mean, again, Megan always puts everything like with a perfect gold sparkly bow on it.
Oh
So
my gosh, I didn't even say your favorite color was sparkle. I had that written down and I skipped over it. So y'all, if you go to their website, which I highly recommend, which is, go ahead and say so that everybody knows.
embodiedleadershipbydesign.com.
There's
So
lots of fun things to play around with there, freebies, all kinds of stuff.
there are, but they have also a meet the girls section, and Megan's favorite color is sparkle, and I appreciate that more than you could possibly know. Okay, so anyway, she sparkled it. Yes, she did a beautiful job. But what's your unique genius part of that didn't get said?
I think, we also talk a lot in the book about burnout, and we talk about that burnout is a journey that we tend to think of as a physical or even an emotional experience, right? I'm physically tired. I'm emotionally anxious or feeling depressed or things like that. So, but the book really points to the concept that burnout is more of a spiritual journey. It's more of a wake-up call that something is deeply out of alignment. And the book, all the things that Megan said, it's like looking at why it's out of alignment, right? All the conditioning of the story and the isms that are not true. And then also, how do we begin to create then the life that we really want? That is that joyful productivity. How do you create it, right? Like, and we are often given very mental tools, like you can think your way there, but 95% of your thoughts are unconscious or subconscious, right? And so if you don't know what those are, they are way faster and way more powerful, and they are actually creating your reality more than those thoughts that you're trying to control or can even hear. All those voices in your head, that's only 5%, right? So it's like, so this book for us was really, it is our personal journey. We have both been through, we believe that anybody who starts their own business is on a spiritual journey to begin with, right?
Amen.
Like it's going to show you where you lack confidence, where you have self-doubt, where you've got money issues. I mean, it will show you your shit, right?
Yep.
So, you know, we wanted to create, well, I just think it came through us. We wanted to give people the tools that were necessary to actually change the story, and not just one more mental, let me just tell you that you have a story, but no real tool for what to do about it or how to really create the life that you're wanting to live.
So you're talking to leaders, and like you said, leaders are not just those who hold the title. This is all the humans. All the humans that you're talking to right now are leading others in some way, and they are trying to create a little more productive joy. They're trying to approach this in a way, and when they listen, they're listening for some nugget of wisdom, something that they can turn around and use right away. So what's something from the book that you would pull out that you would say, this thing right here is really helpful for X? And it could be anything, and maybe you have two different things. I don't know.
I have one, Megan. You want me to go first? Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Good job, Laura, for inserting yourself first so that whatever Meghan says is not overly sparkly.
Look,
Mine will be trash. Say
You
what you,
can
I'll
fun.
make it real bad.
I think that one of the most powerful tools that we have in our toolbox as a leader, as a human, as just a being in this world is curiosity, is staying open-minded, staying curious. If you have someone in your life who is throwing a temper tantrum for, you know, like, which is office dynamics or whatever, right? Like, the worst thing you can do is close that down and make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
And it's our natural tendency.
Yeah.
Right. Is to immediately bunker and be like, whoa, what's, you know, I'm right, that person's wrong. And so curiosity is the gateway to all the magic of the universe in every which way. It leads to imagination, which makes it a leader much more effective, right? If you can keep your curiosity, you can also keep your imagination. That's proven through neurology and the way your brain works, right? And imagination is the key to having a successful business, period. If you want a profit that rises, it comes with innovation and imagination, which starts with curiosity. So that's what I would say is the one thing.
That was a very sparkly bow, by the way, even if that isn't your favorite color. Also, that was a beautifully tied up explanation that curiosity is key and it leads to imagination. That was perfect. All right, Meghan, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to attempt to top that or at least match it.
She will. She will.
I think what's coming up, and Laura, I appreciate you going first so that I could think about what I wanted to share, is one of the things in the book that we talk about and that we've done training and speaking about is the difference between internal and external seeking. And there's actually different neural pathways around this. And we are a culture, especially if you're in the entrepreneurial space or you're on a personal growth journey, we are taught to go outside of ourselves to find the expert who can give us the answer about ourselves. And I just want to shake that up a little bit, because we have a framework we're offering people, but it's a framework that is a guide towards self-discovery. We're not homogenizing the path of purpose, saying my 10 steps work for everyone, because I think there's a lot of shame in personal growth and professional development around why didn't that millionaire's framework work for me? What's wrong with me? And it's because it wasn't built for you. And that's what this book and our work is about. Is like, okay, well, we're going to use we're going to use your body's wisdom. We're going to use human design. We're going to point all these things back toward you so that you can hear yourself again, because the noise of the world telling you who you should be is always going to be louder than the quiet whisper of knowing within. Yeah. It just is. And it's an art to learn how to go, okay, this feels like truth. And the world might go, that is not what you do. And then nervous system regulation comes in. Well, to be me, that's really stressful and scary. So how do I create safety within myself so that I can be brave enough to be me out in the world?
Yeah. And as an Enneagram 1, I'm sure that you resonate with that loudly, because the voices outside are often louder than the ones that you should be listening to, which is your own. And then going back to your thoughts, right?
I have my own in-house inner critic, so I don't really need the world. I've got one that's built in. So she's on tap whenever I need her to tell me how much I'm failing. Yeah.
Does she have a name?
No. And you know what? I often tell people, I worked with Enneagram for a really long time in my practice. And if I can get in right relationship with my inner critic, I really believe it's possible for anyone who is committed to it, because she really doesn't rule my world now. I'm aware of it, but I like, I'll just be like, oh, it's not front and center. And I think that is from decades of practicing putting her in the back seat instead of the driver's seat.
Well, and I mentioned that my daughter is an Enneagram 1, and the conversations that I have with her at 24 and me at 48, I'll be 49 in 2 days from when this airs, is you don't have to believe everything you think, right? Like it's okay to have the thought, but then just push it, like let it go through you. Don't sit in it, because she does truly believe that everybody is thinking these horrible things about her or saying these horrible things about her. And it's like, no, babe, they're not. They are not thinking about you. So it's also decades of work. I'm just so grateful that you all have created kind of a guidebook, and I really appreciate that this guidebook is meant for them to do some self-discovery, that internal and external thinking that you mentioned. I could legitimately have this conversation for like 6 weeks, like in consecutive, and I don't think we'd run out of things to say, but I do think that people would probably stop listening at some point, unfortunately. So I have some rapid fire questions for you ladies, but before I ask them, how would people find you? You've mentioned it before, but I really need them to find you. So website, book, let's mention it all one more time.
Yep. So Embodied Leadership by Design, and they can get their free leadership type guide, which we highly recommend as a great starting place. There's a Unstuck Yourself guidebook to go deeper if they want to get kind of more nitty gritty about their design. Our podcast, the Embodied Leadership Lounge, and
A book.
well, of course, the book Unstuck Yourself, Thrive Beyond Burnout and Discover Your True Purpose.
Love, love. Laura, did she forget anything?
No, I think she got it.
And then you guys are on socials and just findable that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of on social. Let's be real. Like, send us an email if you want a quick response. But Embodied Leadership by Design on Instagram, we are consistently inconsistent with.
Excellent. Girls, you've got to get there, because unfortunately anymore, that's all anybody cares about is what are you doing over there, right?
Yeah.
Y'all have been such a delight. Are you ready to answer some rapid fire questions? Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. We're going to take turns. So Meghan, you don't get to go first every time. Okay, you're good, but you're going to go first the first time. Then we'll switch back and forth. So first, you, Meghan, what's your definition of fun?
Ooh, feeling free from the inside out.
From the inside out. I love that. All right, Laura. What's your definition of fun?
Oh, it's
the same question. Yeah, you get the same question.
My definition of fun would be uninhibited play.
Well, those align pretty well. Uninhibited play. Love it. Okay, Laura, you're first this time. How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
Oh, because it feels it. You can feel it. It's a heart-centered place. It isn't. You know when you're wearing a little bit of a mask, or when you're trying to. You feel it. You can feel that you have a part that's like, oh, here, let me help you drive this bus for a minute, right? So it's like, I think because you feel that from your heart. It's leading from your heart.
Yeah. All right, Meghan, same question. How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
I think I rely on my body, and because my mind is a liar. And so when my body feels soft and warm, the midpoint is kind of peace. And then it goes out from there of expansive, warm, radiant, whatever. That's how I know.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, Meghan, you get to go first this time. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
Woo! I have a whole assortment of things that I do, from my favorite playlists to spiritual connection. But I think it always starts with an element of stillness. I create more space and stillness when I'm facing internal or external challenges, and that helps me not be an asshole, or at least less of one.
Right. Amen. Right, we can't maybe not
myself or to the world.
We can't prevent it, but we can put it at bay a little bit. All right, Laura, what about you? How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
I think that probably starts with, on your good days, you have practices that help you stay and learn what alignment feels like. So, I mean, I have a meditation practice that is consistent. I do not miss it. And I do it every single day, even if it's only 10 minutes. Sometimes it's up to an hour, depending on the kind of day I have. I also journal every day, and I dump some of those lion thoughts I have onto a piece of paper. And those kind of practices that help us stay grounded in our hearts are what we can lean into on our worst day. That's why they're called practices. So yeah, I think it starts on your good days when you're doing the work. You carry that and you let it hold you on the harder days.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so this one's going to be hard because I'm going to ask you for one thing, and you've said so many things. But before I do, okay, so you talked about curiosity is key, and that leads to imagination. Mission of beingness, I just love that phrasing, and that's who we're meant to be, right? Reclaiming the art of enjoying life was one of your definitions of productive joy. Joyful and happy are different, and that's okay. It's not about being happy; it's about choosing joy. Avoiding burnout, that's the spiritual journey, internal and external thinking. Like, this is a lot of notes of you guys, and I heard all the things, but by nature, people will only be able to hold on to one. And now, because there are two of you, you get two technically, but if people can only remember one thing from the last 30-ish minutes of our time together, what's the thing you really want them to hold on to? And Laura, you get to go first on this one.
Okay. I really want you to hold on to that you are here on purpose. And that is what guides your life.
Beautiful. Mic drop. Okay, Megan.
I just want people to leave with the knowing, or at least an invitation to know, that you are already whole. You are not broken. You are not lacking. None of that. You have been taught some stuff, but you already have everything you need. You just might need some invitations and help on where to look to gather up those lost or forgotten bits of self, because you're brilliant already.
Girls, this was so fun. Y'all, okay, you just got a masterclass in all things paying attention to who you are and living in it. And so for our listeners, I want you to grab on to like 6 or 7 different nuggets, because today one's not enough. And hold on to that and actually put it into practice. Go find the book. Go find these ladies. Go experience a little more joy because you're choosing to know who you are and who you're meant to be. And do me one final favor today and always, and that's figure out a way to turn fun into action.